It's obviously easier to secure one architecture, one data center in one place, right, than it is to secure everything everywhere.
Can you give us few real life examples of smaller apps creating massive sort of havoc in terms of cybersecurity breaches?
Smaller apps. The thing is, the smaller the app, the less the breach, because less people are using it. Sometimes, however, so the large ones are actually a lot, make the headlines, right? Here's one. Almost all Brazilians get their health information exposed. Or Yahoo breaches 3 billion accounts, all of them compromised.
Yeah.
Equifax 2017, nearly all US households, right? 2020, like I was talking about, the Likud party idea of names, addresses of all Israeli adults. So by not having all the data in one place, there are going to be lots of small breaches. And that's not necessarily better. For example, this blog is hosted on WordPress, and it's a wide variety of hosting companies and other things that you have to secure. It's obviously easier to secure one architecture, one data center in one place, right, than it is to secure everything everywhere. So it's not necessarily more secure to have open source software running on commodity hosting. It's less about security, it's more about freedom. It's more about choice and price and power dynamics. But to answer your question, I'm sure there are a lot of small apps that are constantly hacked, or perhaps they're not hacked. Perhaps the developer of the app simply wants to get their information. For example, Mark Zuckerberg was a developer of Facebook, right? And what did he do? Well, this is what he said back in back before he really got going with Facebook. This was his attitude before he got funded. He's talking on a chat, and the conversation was like this. Zuck says, so if you need info about anyone at Harvard, just ask. I have 4,000 emails, pictures, addresses, SNS, I'm guessing social security numbers? I doubt it. I don't know what this is. It's too long ago. He said, what? How'd you manage that one? People just submitted it. I don't know why. They trust me, right?
Yeah.
So he also did this. Check this out. He was being investigated by the Harvard Crimson. Okay, they were doing an article on him, 2004. He broke into their private email account. How did he do it? Well, the person reused the same password on Facebook that they were using on their email account. And Mark Zuckerberg, being a nice guy that he was back then, I guess, or, he was personally a lot at stake for him, he decided that he was going to store the passwords that were entered into his Facebook form. And he used them to go into the email of the person. Okay, he was 19 at the time. And so basically he wanted to know what they had been writing about him. So he did that. I'm not sure how they found out, or maybe he confessed to it. But this is an example of a small app at the time. Mark Zuckerberg didn't store the passwords to, at least it's not clear that he did. Instead, what he did is he examined a log of failed logins to see if any of the Crimson members ever entered an incorrect password. Okay, so maybe you go to the site.
I'd say it's even better. It's you find the correct password by examining incorrect submissions to your site.
Exactly.
You could see he was intelligent. You could see that he was very intelligent.
Absolutely intelligent. But look, if you're trying to get into someone's account, you definitely think, oh, maybe they tried to reuse their password. You try anything, right? And the thing is, very important is that the logging on your site can reveal a lot of the things that you later redact from your database. That's an example. So the logs that are of errors, failed things, etc., may actually reveal sensitive information, and that's a good example of that.
That's a great point.
Yep. One last thing I want to say before I do that, there's a nice comic called XKCD, which makes fun of a lot of things, including computer security, mathematics, physics, and so on. It's created by this guy, Randall Munro. He is essentially, romance, sarcasm, math, and language, he says. All these things, he's been doing this for years. So the one I'd like to show you is password reuse. Okay, he just basically says, set up a web service to do something simple, like image hosting, or just cats or whatever. Bam, you got a few million emails, default usernames, and passwords. Tons of people use 1Password, strong or not, for most accounts. Use the list and some proxies to try automated logins to the 20 or 30 most popular sites, plus banks and PayPal. We've got now a few 100,000 real identities on a few dozen servers and nobody suspects anything. And then what? Well, that's why I got stuck. What do I do with it? I could probably net a lot of money one way or the other if I did things carefully, but research shows money doesn't make people happier. Once they make enough, so yeah.
Okay.
You get the point.
Yes.
It's too easy, and that's the problem, right? People enter their information and they reuse passwords.